Well, first podcast. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you in studio. We just dive right in. So
all right.
Let's learn a little bit about you. Okay. I want to know who is Michelle Noma before real estate? Because you didn't just jump into real estate from high school.
No.
So what did you do?
Does anyone?
Well, I've had a couple people. Yeah.
So I didn't even know what a realtor was growing up. My parents still live in the house that I grew up in. So it was never on my radar. So before real estate, I was a teacher. So I wanted to be a teacher since I was in kindergarten. And I would gather all the neighborhood kids in the basement, and we did not take turns being teacher. I was always
You were always teacher?
Always the teacher. And it's the benefits of having a younger brother, 5 years younger. He didn't get many choices.
You just decided for him.
Yes. And so that's what I went to college for. I knew straight away I wanted to be a teacher. And when I graduated, it was tough to get a teaching job in Michigan because no one retires there. So I did a couple long-term substitute positions, finally landed a job at a charter school teaching middle school Spanish. And it was a tough first year. And so I had convinced my best friend to move to Arizona because I knew they needed teachers out here. Okay. So we that was in March. I convinced her to move. April, we had contracts in hand. In June, we drove across the country.
From Michigan to Arizona.
Yep.
That's a big move.
It was, yeah.
And what, were you in your 20s at the time?
I think I was about 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still speak Spanish?
Un poquito. So I call it Spanglish.
Spanglish.
So I know just enough to kind of get by.
So it serves you well when you're in Rocky Point and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you come to Arizona and you dive into your teaching career.
Yeah, so I taught fourth grade out here.
Fourth grade. Obviously, there's a lot of lessons that probably that you carried with you into real estate. We'll talk about that once you get to real estate. But I'm curious, how long did you stay in teaching? And at what point did you realize you were ready for something different?
So it was about 2 years in, and I'm not sure that I was looking for anything different. But my ex-husband was in real estate, and he said, teachers are really good at this. You should go get your license. So on my next summer break, I did it. And I think it was 3 weeks. And so started doing real estate on the side. And all my students knew that I also sold houses. So I did that alongside teaching for 3 years. And so all my first clients were my teacher friends. So after school, they'd come into my classroom and I'd pull up the listings on our smart board and we'd go through them. And
so that's awesome. And tell me, because this is one of the things that I want to dive into in with you in a little bit here. And that is that you also have 3 kids.
Yes.
Not just 3 kids, but triplets.
Yes.
When did they come into the picture?
They came in a bit later. So I started teaching out here in 2007. I got my license in 2009.
Okay.
I got married in 2012, and I didn't have them till 2016.
Okay, so you were in real estate quite a bit before them. I think
yes.
I think I'm just starting to put that together then for the first time. Okay, so bring me through the first couple of years while you're doing multiple things, teaching and real estate. A lot of people dive into this business dual career and they don't make the transition or they don't balance it. And so they never really get started. What did the first couple of years look like for you? You were actually working with people and closing deals. But bring me into that dual career stage of your life a little bit.
Yeah. So, as a teacher, we get out fairly early, so I was out by 3, I think it was. So there's still plenty of time to work nights and weekends. I didn't have kids, and I really enjoyed it. And it was obviously right after the crash. So when I got into it, everyone told me, if you can make it in this market, you can make it through any market. And so I learned how to do listings doing short sales. All my first listings were short sales. And of course, the price points, I was selling $25,000 condos. Yeah. So when I matched my teacher's salary selling those is when it made sense for me to make the leap. And I think it helped too. Obviously I was, I had a live-in mentor. So just, when we tell agents to come to the office so you can hear the conversations, I got to live with that. So I think that really helped. And so if I was on the phone, I had someone right there kind of telling me, a little birdie in my ear telling me what
Coaching
to
you
say.
through it
Yeah. So I think that really helped, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I can't understate the importance of mentorship and just hearing people talking the talk, right? And I think like if you cut your teeth on short sales and you quickly meet your teaching salary, I think you can, I mean, I imagine you're like, man, once this starts to recover, like I'm going to just like far exceed my teaching salary.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you to eventually make that transition out of teaching or... No.
Everyone asks me if I miss it, and sadly I don't, just because it changed so much, and they took away just kind of like the fun from it. So I was in a unique situation where we had these English language learning blocks. So we had to teach 4 hours of English language development because a lot of our students were second language learners. And so it got to the point where, you know, if spelling was from 8 to 8:30 and grammar was 8:30 to 9, and they walked in at 8:32 and you were still on spelling because a kid had a question, you could get dinged for that.
Really?
Yeah. And then that was also
terrible.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, it just, when your heart's in it to teach and then it's taken over like that and it becomes more of a, I don't know, like it takes away from like, I'm here for the kids. Like, and that's not what's best for the kids.
Yeah. Instead, just like trying to push something through a system.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And they also rolled out Common Core that year. And I was like, old dog, new tricks. Like this is a good time to exit stage left. So
for sure. So what year did you end up making that transition then?
2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So 2012, the market has pretty much come back, I would say, you know, towards that tail end of that, you know, comeback. So what's the next stage look like? You're full-time in real estate. You were on a team at one point, but I don't know where that comes in. So
yeah,
take me to that next chapter.
Yeah, so when real estate full time, and I did traditional, you know, residential real estate. Again, a lot of my clients were my teacher friends, and continue to build that, you know, database. But I did not have a CRM. That comes in later. Okay. But I had the opportunity to work with my ex-husband's brokerage representing the different hedge funds in town.
Wow.
So for a couple years there, I was just tied to a computer, and I started off just writing offers. So I just wrote all the offers. We had like a team of people that worked together to make this happen because we were helping them purchase hundreds of homes.
Right.
And so I started off writing the offers, and then I worked up to like I was kind of the liaison between, you know, the listing agent and the team and the investor.
What did you love about that, and what did you hate about that?
I mean, it was easy, right? It was just pretty much paperwork and communication. I got to stay at home, but also I'm the type of person that likes to leave home and go to an office and be around people.
That's kind of what was in my head. Knowing you, I'm like, I wonder if you liked that.
And you had to be on. So it was like literally I was like tied to my computer for, I'd say 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. But coming from education, you know, when you're making the money that we were making, it, you know, it was exciting.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
In real estate, you just ride those waves.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, you know, it's funny because how long have you and I known each other? Like 6 years almost? I think so. I think so, like six years. And I don't know that we've ever really talked a lot about that phase of your career. And so, I mean, because now your business looks, I would say, quite a bit different than short sales and sitting behind a computer.
Yeah. So, after I got divorced, and I think it was 2017, I did stay at my ex-husband's brokerage for a year and just doing, again, the investor stuff had kind of tapered off at that point. And I was just doing residential. And I was like, I probably don't need my ex-husband signing my paychecks anymore. So and at that point, I didn't have a CRM. I was told that open houses were a waste of time, right? Your face lights up as we know those are lies. So, I decided to go join a team. I was like, there's some things, some basics that I need to learn that I just kind of jumped right into a lot of investor stuff that I didn't have to do those things, right? I wasn't doing open houses because I was just working primarily with the investors. Right. So I went and joined a team with a different Keller Williams, and that's when I actually fell in love with Keller Williams. And I learned some really great things. So obviously I got a CRM, started my actual database, and learned how to hold a proper open house, and just like a lot of like those basics to really set that foundation for a real estate business.
A different way of doing business than you had become accustomed to.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, then you break out onto your own. You realize that you want something a little bit more. And that's at that point when I'm meeting you. And I've just seen you grow and flourish so much into not just a fantastic agent, but a leader inside of our company. And it's one reason why I'm just excited to dive in with you on so many different things, because I think your story can really not just encourage people, but empower people. And you've done that in a lot of ways with other initiatives that you've started recently as well. So step back, because in that transition, those kiddos come along.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing, right? There's a lot of moms, there's a lot of single moms that are out there that want to grow a really successful real estate business. And they see people and admire people like you, but they don't necessarily know how, or maybe they're pounding their head against a wall and feeling like, man, I thought I could do this, but I can't. And they're feeling helpless. I just want to know, like, what enabled you to actually be different than that and just continue to grow year after year while trying to juggle everything that a mom has to juggle? Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I will say, when I was in real estate, like before kids, I was clearing 6 figures, and I probably made the same amount, like right around that 100,000 that everyone sets their first goal for, right? And I probably made right around there for probably 6 years in a row, maybe more. So, because to me, that was great money, and that was more than double my teacher's salary. So I say I was kind of like the supplement income. I didn't really need to push for more than that. And so I kind of just got comfortable there.
Yeah.
And then, having kids, I was blessed to be able to, I still worked. I delivered keys 8 days after I delivered my babies. But I got to work mostly from home, and had the nanny. And so that I'm really blessed that I was able to do that. But then, when I got divorced, and I became a sole income provider for my household, that's when I really had to step it up. And that's when I say I started my real estate business. Before, I was just a real estate agent. And when you make those decisions, for your kids, like I say that some people stay for their kids. I left for my kids. And I knew that I had to do more. I had to be better. I had to push harder. But I still wanted to be present for them. And so it's a fine balance, right? And you have to learn to be, disciplined, to use that time while they're at school or with the nanny or, whatever it may be, to really work if you want to be present in those hours, when they're home.
When you say you knew you had to do more, what did that mean for you?
I think getting more focused. Like I said, I got just kind of comfortable making what I was making, and I knew I couldn't live off that. So it was like when I really started, I was like, what do I have to do to make this more scalable and consistent, and so that I can make more money? There is no backup, right? Like I am the backup now. And it could be a lot of pressure, but I knew I could trust the person I was depending on because it was me.
Did you ever doubt yourself?
I still do.
What causes doubt?
It's not an easy business. And sometimes I am always consistent, right? I'm consistent in the tasks that I've done to grow my business and that I've committed to doing. And some years it just doesn't get you where it's gotten you in the past. And so last year was that year for me, and it was really challenging, and I was just frustrated because I'm like, I'm doing all the things. I haven't changed anything. I'm doing all the things. What, like I said, why isn't my database databasing? So, but you just got to keep going, right? You just you just have to keep going.
What was it that enabled you to get through? You said last year was that year for you. And yes, you got to keep going, but I've got to imagine like there's something that happens in your mind that enables you to keep going. And for you, what's that been? Like when you hit a tough spot in your business, Michelle, like how do you break through those dry spells?
Well, I mean, obviously my kids are my motivator. They're bougie little kids. So, we got to keep that lifestyle going for them.
What are we creating?
But I just knew some people might have went and gotten a real job, but I'm too far past that. Like I can't go back. And, when I was a teacher, I felt like I was just locked in this classroom, and I didn't want that, especially for when I had kids. I want to be able to go to, activities at school and things like that. And so it just, keep going, pivot. I've always have a coach. And so working with my coach and saying, reevaluating what can I do different? What can I maybe add in? What can I ramp up to try and get the results I need from the activities I'm doing?
And that's one thing I can attest to is you're a super coachable person. And I don't know if that's maybe something that people need to hear, but I don't care what level of success you have, be coachable, because this business, no matter how predictable of a business you've created, it's gonna ebb and flow to some degree sometimes, right?
Yeah.
We all experience that. And we can't identify blind spots by ourselves. We're blind to them.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how much grit or determination or just hustle and motivation we have, we're going to hit those times where we need an outside voice to help us see what we don't see. And I've seen that in you so much. You have so many different coaches in different aspects. I don't want to miss something that it was kind of an inflection point that you brought up. And you said you went from being a real estate agent to a real estate business owner, I think were your words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does that mean? And what's the difference?
I think being a real estate agent, I was just always looking for the next deal. And as a real estate business owner, it's structuring it and looking at, marketing and marketing expenses and just kind of dialing in, to that, and just taking it more serious and showing up every day, right? And, some people, realtors, I don't know, I get up and get ready every day. I go to the gym at, 6 a.m. every day, and I get ready every day because you never know where you're going to get that call. Can I go see this house, or can you meet with me? And I'm just not one to show up in gym clothes, for anything. It's a profession, right? And I'm a professional. And so I'm going, even with clients that are friends, I always show up, put together. And they're like, oh, you don't have to do that for me. I'm like, no, you're a client. This is what I do for my clients. And so I think it's just looking at it differently and taking it maybe a little more serious, and just being a professional.
You start developing your database and your CRM, and you even said during the year that was a little bit tougher, your database wasn't databasing. Talk to me about what you've learned about your database and how you treat your database, and why that's important to your business. Yeah,
I mean, my database is my business. So at this point in my career, I think I'm 93% repeat business and referral. Sphere driven. So I just nurture my database. So my database hears from me all the time. So what I'm known for is my video text messages. And so I do those instead of phone calls, but I'm religious with them, right? They get every quarter. My entire database gets a video text from me. And so
what are those? What's the content of those, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. So it's just saying, hey, how's it going? I ask them if they have any questions about the housing market. And then usually there's some sort of value add. So I'm big on client events. So usually I'm inviting them to my next event, or, willing to share I'm also known for having a guide for everything. So I have a great vendor list. So I'll offer to share that. Just something of value that I can provide to them. And if it's someone, because, even if I meet you at an open house, you're going in my database. So they might, have gone to 5 open houses that day. So they put a face with a name and a voice, and so I send those out. So every week I send those out to my database. I do 2 letters a week. And I have some accountability around that with my coach. And so I've been doing those for, I think, over 3 years now. And it's the one thing I do every week for my business that moves the needle forward. That's non-negotiable. Like it gets done every week.
Do you do that at a specific time every week? Is it like in the calendar, or how do you do that with juggling the schedule that you have?
Yeah, so you can take the girl out of teaching, but you can't take the teacher out of the girl. So every week I sit down with my schedule and I map it out.
I'm sure it has colors and stickers.
It sure does. Well, not stickers, but we definitely are color coded. So, and I just look at where my block is going to go in for that.
Good. So you just mentioned this. You can't take the girl out of teaching. How does that show up in the way that you work with your clients?
Well, yeah, I'm an educator at heart. So I always tell them, I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm gonna walk you through this process. And so I'm always gonna tell you where we're at and what's coming next. And I just feel as long as they know, where we're at and where we're going, they're not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be as stressful, just to kind of understand. But you can't, like I do, obviously explain everything in the beginning, but they're not going to remember everything you said. So it's just important to explain what it's going to look like and then walk them through it step by step. And again, reminding them, here we are, here's what next. Here we are, here's what's next.
I think those are some of the most important words in real estate. Here's what happens next. No matter how many times we've gone through transactions, right? Like I am always helped by knowing the next step in a transaction. I think we take that for granted sometimes. So there's a lot packed in that little phrase.
Yeah.
I want to know how do you encapsulate your superpower in this business? Why do people why are they attracted to you, and why do they work with you?
I think part of that is they just feel comfortable. So when I sit them down, I explain everything and I let them know, I'm here to help you. And I think one of the things too that kind of translated from teaching, I'm just a very honest person. I always say I'm not a salesperson, and because I'm never going to sell you on a house. I tell my clients I'm more likely to talk you out of a house. And I've done it where a buyer was like, I really want this house. I'm like, I need to be able to sleep at night. I can't let you buy this house. It had mold everywhere. And so because they're in my database, we become friends. I don't go away. So I did 2 deals last year with people. I sold them their houses 11 and 15 years prior. So I don't go away. So I would never, push someone into a house or make them do anything that wasn't in their best interest.
Well, and I think there's integrity in that. And I think sometimes we could potentially push someone a little bit further into a situation that might not be best for them if we weren't as good and consistent with staying in touch with them. But to me, I translate what you just said, Michelle, you have great confidence around the fact that these are going to be clients for life. And so I don't need them to transact real estate right now. Is that a fair translation?
Yeah.
And so then you're able to be really honest all the time with them, because hey, I'm going to keep nurturing you until the right thing the right opportunity comes along. Right.
Yeah. I just told a past client the other day, they want to sell, and looking at numbers, it wasn't quite where she wanted it to be. And she was going to get a second opinion. And I told her, I was like, there's a lot of realtors that will list your home for whatever number you want to put on there. And I was like, but this is not the market to do that. And I said, if you're making money, it's a rental. I was like, if you're making money, this just might not be the year to sell. And so I'm just, always honest. And I'm not going to do what's not in their best interest just to get the deal or to get the listing.
You've recently started a community called the SheEO Collective.
Yes.
And I'm curious, tell everyone what that is and like why it's important to you.
Well, so it's a group of women, and it's these women events, and it started, because when I was 36, I got divorced, and I had to find my own CPA, my own estate attorney, my own financial planner, and not everyone is connected. Like if my lender would have knew things that my attorney knew, as far as qualifying for a house and what advice maybe I should have gotten and how to handle that. Like if people just talked, it could help women, and not just women going through divorce. Like my aunt lost her husband when she had 3 school-age children, and some men just aren't financially savvy, and so women need to take that role. And so it's just things that women should know. And so I said, what if I could bring a group of women together and have top women in these different fields educate us? But then also, no one wants to sit there and talk about finances all day. So we throw in some fun things too. So we talk about health and wellness. We always have like a fun thing. We'll have like growth or motivational speaker as well. And it's just building this community of women. And I think I'm big on community. I always love to be part of a group. And so I just was at a point where I wasn't in a group. I didn't have a group. And so I created the next one, and we've had 3 events so far. We've had some phenomenal speakers. We fill the room every time, and the women leave educated, empowered, with a few new friends, and it's really been fun.
Well, it's been fun to watch kind of from the sidelines and see how it started to develop. And most of those communities, I think, are born out of our own experience. And you've been kind enough and transparent enough to talk to us about some of those, life events that you've gone through. And if I can get personal for a minute, like I imagine there were days that were really, really difficult when you were transitioning in your divorce and with the little kids. What did you learn about Michelle during that stage of your life that had you not gone through that experience, maybe you never would have found that out?
That I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. And honestly, when I made the decision to get divorced, I think I was a little naive, and I think it worked in my favor because had I looked at really the big picture, and that's why I see why some women can get scared and stay. And I just knew that everything would work out. And my motto during that time was faith over fear. So anytime I got scared, I just was like, God's got you, faith over fear. Like, you can do this. And I did.
You did. How?
We're still doing it.
You're still doing it. And I want you to, it's no secret. Most of my audience are real estate agents from around the country. And no doubt there's a woman out there that's facing that type of situation right now. Faith over fear is a powerful phrase. What does that look like in their day-to-day? And how would you encourage them if they're going through a life transition and trying to run a business at the same time?
Faith over fear. Just have faith that you can do it and that it'll work out. Obviously, you have to do the work along with it.
Yeah.
Prayer is powerful, but you can't just pray all day. You have to do the work too. So, but just to keep going and, I don't know, and believe in yourself. And like, what's your why? Mine was my kids, and I don't think there's a more powerful why than your children. And, I don't like to let people down, but I'm not going to let them down. When it comes to big things, I let them down every day, like with little things, but no, we can't have McDonald's today, but,
it's not a yes day every day.
Right. Yeah. But, just have that faith find a mentor. Like, I can't tell you the hard times that my coach has carried me through. And I tell her, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be where I am if it weren't for her. So
If I were to ask each of your kids, and we just actually, we're recording this right after Mother's Day, and you know how the schools always do those little like questionnaires and stuff. I'll have to tell you later what one of my daughters said about her mom. But I want to ask you this question. Like, if I were to ask your kids what they were most proud of you for, what do you think they'd say?
Oh gosh, that's really hard. Should have asked me before. I would have just asked them. It's probably the hardest question I've been asked. I don't know. Because they're three very different kids too. So it would be three different answers for sure.
You mean just because they're triplets, they don't give the same answer?
No, they're three very different little people, as you would know. I think Madison would say that I work hard and I love hard. Isabel, this is so tricky. But they would be most proud of, you said? You really got me on this one.
Take your time.
I think hers would be just around like the fun things we get to do, and she loves to travel too. She's gonna be my travel buddy when she grows up. And I don't know, because obviously they don't love when parents work, right? So, but I think they just know that I like pour everything into like what I do, and I let them know that it's all for them, right? So even though they might not love that I work hard, or sometimes I'm, on my phone more than they want me to, they're very well aware that it's all for them. And so that they get to reap the benefits of that with the extra time that I get with them, that I can show up to school events, and that we get to do, fun things and go on fun vacations. So.
Well, thank you for going there and taking a minute, because you are, from what I can see, you're a very present parent. And even those who have, a different situation at home and aren't juggling everything all by themselves, I know that not all kids can say that, and they don't all get that same experience. And so I just want to build you up because that's something that seems like you do really, really well. And it kind of leads into this conversation that I want to have for a few minutes around just time management in general. Like, do you have any tips and tricks or hacks that you've really learned and employed in your business to maximize that time? Because sometimes, you're squeezing it between school blocks and bringing the kids to 3 different things all over the place. So just talk to me about what you've learned around time management.
It's hard, right? Like I always say, I time block, but at the same time, I'm not great at holding to it. But I think the time blocks I do hold to are obviously, around my kids. And so I don't have them every day. So I used to have a nanny pick them up from school and do homework. And I would, work and come home at dinner time and make dinner and take it from there. And the last couple years, I've actually stopped that, and I pick my kids up from school on my days, and because it's only 2 to 3 days a week, and so I have to cut my days at 2:45, 2 to 3 days a week, and that's an early stop time, and so I just have to be very efficient on those days. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I map my week out ahead of time. So I literally write down, I have it in my phone, my calendar, but also I write it out, and so I write down literally like what I have, like where I have to be. And then I have a to-do list. So any gaps I have, that's where the to-dos slide in.
Got it.
And so it's just like, okay, so this is what I have to do. These are the things that need to get done today. And then, sometimes there's things that have to get done, and there's some that can roll to the next day if we ran out of time.
So it's very much that 2-pronged calendar and to-do list, and you're sliding the to-dos into the white space on the calendar.
Yeah.
That alone is a productivity hack, because a lot of us have a to-do list, but it never actually makes it into the calendar. And so then we don't make time for it. And I think that alone could change an agent's life. If you'd actually take and time block into your white space the to-dos that you have. That's huge. Yeah. So what other things do you think agents should be paying attention to right now that would help them in their real estate business?
I mean, your database, like, you have to talk to your people and you have to be consistent with it. So I'd say that's, like I said, that's the one thing that's do or die in my business, and focusing on like the relationship. Like, it's not your next deal, it's a relationship, and how can you help them with their, life changes, and just, staying present with them. And
do you have any type of like guide or rubric, if you will? I don't know what to call it, that like helps you focus more on the relationship than the next transaction? Like, what does that call or video text look like if you were coaching another agent?
So, I mean, there is AI where you could literally record one video text and it'll change the name. And I won't do it because each one of my video texts is personalized. And some are the same if it's someone in my database that I don't really know, that I maybe met in an open house, or they just are in my farm and come to my events. But if it's someone I know, I'm always on social media, because you have to post and engage and for your business as well. So I just try and stay on top of people's like life happenings, right? Graduations are coming up, and, anytime someone has a birthday. And so just staying on top of those things. So when I reach out, like, I generally know what's going on in their life. And I'm like, hey, congrats on the new job. Like, that is so exciting. I would love to hear more about it. And so just like, just knowing what's going on in their lives and following along and cheering them on.
What that just made me think of is that phrase, and maybe you've heard it before, but interesting people are interested people.
Yeah.
And I think what made me think about that is you put a question in there when you're communicating with them. And I find that actually it happened in a staff meeting that I was running this morning, answering a question with a question and actually being curious about other people actually leads to a deep relationship. And we know this in other aspects of life, but sometimes it doesn't translate to our business relationships. And so I think part of developing clients for life and staying in touch with people and not being afraid to reach out to the database is not feeling like you constantly have to sell something.
Right.
Instead, like, let's just be interested and curious people. And that's easy when that truly emanates from who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. If you're the type of person who is just selfish and doesn't care about the people that you're reaching out to, then yeah, that's going to be a challenge for you. Yeah. But I don't think that's most people. I think most agents get into this business because they do care about people. Right. And I think we just have to revisit that kind of basic but very true skill set of just asking questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could talk to you for a long time, and I'm sure there's a lot of different things that we didn't get to, but sometimes I'll wrapping up with a question around, is there anything that I didn't ask you today about Michelle Noma Real Estate that you wish I would have?
Oh, I don't think so, but I would add that, once a teacher, always a teacher. I do really enjoy coaching others. And so that is something that I still do, is real estate coaching one-on-one. And so that's there if anyone's interested.
When did you start coaching other people?
Well, I started, what year did I start a team? 2021? Maybe. I think it was the end of 2021, maybe 2022. Yeah. I think it was 2022. I started a team. Actually, I know because I I came back from Italy and I quit my BNI chapter and started a team then. So it was fall of 2022. And so I had a team for quite some time. And then I took that down, made it very small. And after that, started doing more one-on-one coaching.
Was that a conscious decision that, I know I got to work with you when you were starting that team, and I know a lot of it emanated from this desire to help and coach and build up other people. Why did you decide on focusing smaller on your personal production and a little bit of leverage that you have still, and instead pursuing the coaching route? What was that like?
I don't know. I think I like the one-on-one because with the team, it was more whole group, and they still got one-on-ones as well. But this was, I think, less to kind of oversee instead of having a full classroom. It's just like the online one-on-one coaching, and you get to get a little bit more personal with the people I'm coaching, and they don't necessarily have to be at the same brokerage. So I'm not also recruiting. I'm just finding people that need help and being able to help them.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I want to transition us into the last segment of the show. I call it 3, 2, 1, action.
Oh, geez.
It's the same 3 questions I ask. You just tightened up. Same 3 questions I ask every guest since I started this show years ago. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 1. What is the most impactful book on your business and why?
That's a good question. There's kind of 2 that come to mind. So one is like the gap and the gain. So we get so into things and always focus on the gap and what we're missing that we forget to celebrate those gains. And then there's this other one, and I'm not going to remember the name of it because it's not like a well-known book. But it is essentially, I really can't remember the name of the title. It's just a really small book, but it's about focusing on your people and like creating a community within your people. And I'll have to get back to you on the name of that.
Well, if it's not Tribes by Seth Godin, that's kind of the same concept, and you should read that one because but The Gap and the Gain is really good, and actually I don't know that it's ever been mentioned before on my show, so that's fantastic. The second question, and I have changed this one up a little bit, and I think it's become more powerful. I used to ask Michelle who has been most impactful on your business and why, but here's the twist on it. We don't always get to thank the people that are most impactful. And so I actually want you to take a moment to actually express gratitude specifically to a person in your life who has been most impactful on you. And it could be personally, professionally, it could be a mix of both. But could you actually just thank that person?
Can I have like kind of 2?
Sure, I'll let you cheat.
Well, I mean, the first one would be my kids, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't push so hard. I wouldn't drive so hard. Because like I said, I do it all for them. So they make me a better person, and they make me want more because I want it for them.
They might hear this, so can you thank them?
Thank you, Madison, Isabel, and Daniel. It's all for you guys. I love you.
I love that. And who's the second one?
Jackie Stone. She took me on. She asked me years ago, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but she asked me if she could coach me for free because she was just getting into coaching on her own. And she coached me 6 months, without me paying her. And she transformed like my life and my business, and she just keeps me going, and now I pay her, and she's worth every penny. But just like I said, last year was a really tough year, and that's when I decided to start SheEO. And there were days where I'm like, I'm just not gonna do this. I don't want to do this. And she's like, no, you need to do this. And I'm so glad that she stayed with me and she kept pushing me forward. And I just don't know if she realizes like just how grateful I am to her. So thank you, Jackie.
It's awesome. I love that. And knowing Jackie, she loves people and she loves you, and she's an amazing coach. All right, the last question. You're talking to a bunch of agents out there, various skill levels. All right, we're sitting here in 2026, halfway through the year. If you could challenge agents out there who might be distracted or feeling stuck, what is one piece of advice that you'd give them right now and say, hey, go all in right here, and I guarantee that you'll see a positive lift in your business?
I would just say stick with the basics, Like, we all chase these shiny objects and think this is going to help my business, or this is going to help my business, or maybe if I switch brokerages, it's going to help my business. But it's just like doing what you're supposed to do. And we all know the things we're supposed to do. Number one being talk to your database. But you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, this business is simple, not easy. It
Yeah.
boils down to a few key fundamentals. And I think the thread that has come up in our conversation today over and over is your database. Yeah. And most of us already have enough people in our database to actually get the business that we want. Sure, there might be an off year where the database isn't databasing, right. But for the most part, yeah, it always comes back. It always rebounds. And there's certain trend lines that just always exist. And so if we would just talk to people and cultivate real relationships, like we'll have success. Yeah. Well, Michelle, you are an attractor of people, and they want to come into your realm. They probably are more interested in SheEO and perhaps coaching and all of those things. What's the best way for them to find out more about you, connect with you? Where should they go?
Probably Instagram. So it's Michelle_Noma_real_estate. And the same with SheEO Collective, underscores in between.
So the underscore is the key thing.
I'm not going to go through that. So
we'll link it in the show notes.
But literally, if you just Google Michelle Noma, I've done it. Everything will come up. You can find me.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, can I personally thank you for everything that you give to me and to our brokerage. You've been a leader for many years here now, and I know that anytime someone needs help or support, anytime we need a happy hour, a get together, community builder, you're our girl. And so thank you for everything that you mean to us, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
Been fun, guys. This is another episode of Real Talk with David. Go out and put this stuff into motion. Don't just let this be a fun story, but go actually pour into the relationships in your database. It will return you multiple dividends, just like it has for Michelle.